Hello guys, this is Nusrat back again with another video. And first of all, I hope that this title is not too misleading, because I don't want to make it seem like this is some quick get rich scheme, because success really needs passion, it needs focus, it needs clarity, it needs work, you need to take massive action. However, if you are just starting out on your journey, or if you are going through a hard time, then I want this video to be an inspiration for you, and I want you to go through like this kind of epiphany that I had, and to be successful in life, to find out that the only limit we have is that in our minds, and other than that we really don't have any other limits. And I want you to be successful, and perhaps one day to look back at this video and to say that, you know what, this was like an eye-opener for me, and I had really a lot of success, a lot of abundance after watching this video. So this is the real reason why I'm making this video, because my journey has had a lot of ups and downs, and I want you to really go through it so that you don't have to go through the same kind of problems that I had, and so that your journey is much smoother. So my journey as an entrepreneur has been quite like many people out there. I was like doing a lot of things at the same time. I didn't really have much of clarity that should I be doing this, should I be doing that, and I tried to open a lot of businesses at the same time, my online business, my coaching business, my this, my that, and then I realized that what, I need some clarity. And besides that, when I started out, it was like I had no balance, I had no bank balance, I was like zero. And I just had a vision. I just knew that I wanted to do something. I wanted my own business. And to be honest, you're gonna see that the people who are really successful in businesses are people who model after others. And I started a female travelers agency, modeling after other businesses in my country. In my country there are like many female travelers group, and I always wanted to travel, but when I was a journalist for over like a decade, I really didn't get much time and space to travel. So I decided, why not open my own travel agency for women, and maybe let's see where it goes. It was kind of a passion, kind of like, I know I can do it. If so many other women are doing it, I know I can do it as well. But I have really never traveled that much, and I really didn't have much resources. I just knew that I wanted to do something, and I just knew that I wanted to set my whole mind and my whole heart into that business. So when I started out, I just followed what others were doing, just create a page and post some tours, post some things, talk to a few people, book some places like hotels, Airbnb, and things like that. And I remember that the first 2 months I was like, I wasn't really getting much of a direction, and I did a lot of ads, social media ads, but it was still like not going, like it wasn't just happening for some reason. And then I realized that the block was really in my mind, because I have never traveled that much, and it was a big deal for me to go out into like an unknown destination and stay there for like 3 days, leaving the comfort of my home. And that's when I realized that I really must be pushing my limits. And I know that for many people it's such a natural thing to to just go and camp out or things like that. But for me, since I had never done that before, and since I was leading the group, every time something happened, even if someone called, they would cancel it in the beginning. And I soon realized that the outer reality is a reflection of our innermost thoughts, and my thoughts were keeping me confined in the comfort of my home. That's when I decided that I really needed to push my limits. I needed to push my fears out. I just needed to take the leap. And then I just did it. I just got like 3 or 4 people, and even they didn't want to pay all of it. Like I paid half for them for the trip, And then I convinced them that okay, just go on this trip. I didn't tell them this is my first trip. I just said, okay, I'm gonna be super nice and I'm gonna give you this huge discount, but really I just wanted these people on my trip because I knew that if I don't do my first trip, it's never going to happen. And yeah, that was like, I guess you can call it a loss project in terms of finance, because the trip costed like 50,000 and 50 or 60,000, and I was paid like 30,000, which means the other 30,000 I just took a loan and somehow managed it. But the trip happened, and everyone who went on that trip told me that this was the best trip in their entire life. They had gone to other trips with other travel agencies or alone, but the one they went with me was the most memorable one. And that, I know that on the first trip I didn't make any profit, and in fact I just made like a huge loss, and I had a huge, not a huge loan, but at that time for me it was a huge debt, because I really wasn't, that was the only thing I was doing. And in terms of spirit, my confidence became 10 times more after I took that leap. And after I just, it's like the entire the software in my head just changed. It just upgraded, because I remember like just standing on the balcony, where we went. It was a very beautiful place. We all took this bungalow in the middle of like nowhere, and I was just standing under the vast sky. And I know, like, I was going through a bit of a hard time. I didn't know how to pay the bills the next day, but somehow some things always get managed. Even then, even though I was like really tense about how I'm gonna just pull it off on my own in terms of finance, I remember standing on the balcony that night. This was like a few months back on March. I remember standing on the balcony that night, and I knew that moment my life had changed. I knew that, I'm no longer going to be the same person, nor am I going to be living the life in my house where I always used to dream of going out, and I always used to dream of, having my own things, but never really having the courage to take that leap. But now that I had taken that leap, I had just, I had changed the timeline for myself, and maybe for so many people whom I'm going to be serving through this new business, through this new service. So that was the start. It wasn't like, it wasn't like all beds and roses. It wasn't all easy all the way. Then after having, one local trip, I did my first foreign trip. I didn't really go. I just assigned a few guides and everything. And over there, the same thing. My subconscious mind took over. I had never organized a trip from out of my country before. And also, I just chose the wrong agency. I just chose the wrong international agency. They overcharged me, and they told me, that if you have 20 clients, your cost would be, say, $170, but if you have 5 clients, it's going to be $300. When people travel in groups, you're going to see that the cost decreases, but when the group is small, the cost increases. So that's something I also didn't pay much attention to. And then on my first international trip, only 5 people showed up, and suddenly I had like another huge loan. Something that I had learned from this experience is that never compromise with your values. It doesn't matter what you're doing, what your work is, always deliver your best. So when I did my first international trip, even though there was like a huge expenses, because only 5 people made it. I got only 5 people on the trip when I was supposed to get 20, and the cost and expenses of the car and everything just doubled. Even then again, I took some loan. Even then, the agency asked me that, okay, you have a lot of cost right now, just put them in cheap hotels, give them cheap breakfast, cut some services, and make up for that. I was like, no, I don't want to do that. I'm not going to compromise with my value. They're going to get what they asked for. I gave them the best hotels. I gave them the best experience. So this was another trip where I learned that emotions are don't really get us anywhere. Because I remember, on that international trip, there were a few people who were like, I have a lot of problems financially, please give me a discount and things like that. And I gave them a discount, and that put me, in more like loss, in more debt at that time. But I still didn't compromise. Like I said, I still gave them the best experience. And later, from my guides over there, I got to know that the same people who told me they were like, they were having some financial problem, they cannot afford to pay for the entire trip, so I gave them the discount. They went to bars, they went to shopping, they spent like thousands of dollars. So that day I realized that, what, I really need to set some guidelines, I need to set some framework, and I really need to think from my head and my heart if I want to continue with this business. So the universe rewards the brave, and when you don't compromise with your values, you're going to see that things are going to open up for you. That time it was really hard. It was like on March, it was my first trip, and I told the agency that, okay, I'm going to pay you later, the extra costs and things like that. And I was just looking for ways to really come back from that situation. And then when you're like honest, and when you're like committed, when you're passionate, when you're dedicated, when you give value to people, things just open up for you. And I noticed that people started to get more attracted to me. More people started to call. All my clients are like female, and they started to call that, what, I love the way you talk, I love your services, I love how much honesty you have, how much committed you are. And something I noticed that people started to say a lot, and I would just run ads, and I would answer every single call from the morning to the evening. Even if it was like one call meant like an hour, I would give them my time. And soon that paid off. That really paid off. People started to say that, what, I really love talking to you, I'm definitely going to buy from you. Or I really love how sincere you are, and I'm going to come to your office. At that time I didn't have any office, by the way, but when I had that vision, things just started to happen, and people started to come. And I realized that, what, that's true, I really am. I didn't compromise with my values. I am honest, I am sincere, and I'm giving the best service out there. So I started to use the power of my voice, because that's all I had. I didn't have any office, I didn't have any capital, I didn't have any backup, like my relatives supporting me. Nobody supported me for this business, for this idea that seemed crazy for most people at that time. But I had my voice, I had my spirit, I had my dedication. So I decided, let's just use it. I began to run ads one after another. I began to organize trips, and then from the next trip, I paid for the first trip, and from the third one, I paid for the second one, and things like that. And soon, the debts I had didn't just decrease, but the profits started to increase, because, as I kept on doing it again and again and again, and as I kept on delivering value, within a very short time, people started to come more. And then I got my own little office, my own little space. And from there, people started to communicate much more. And they started to bring their friends as well. Because, when people go to travel, they love to travel with their friends. And they also started to ask me if they can bring their family members, like their male family members. And I decided, okay, I could also make this another business model. So instead of just giving the female travelers, their group travels and things like that, why not also give their families, their corporates and things like that more packages? So I started to create more package, and then I started to build a team, because as the profits went up, I started to invest more in myself, I started to invest more in my business. Soon, what was 0 became 100. What was 100 became 1,000. What was 1,000 became 10,000. What was 10,000 became 100,000. And soon I was like, within like 3 to 4 months, my entire reality just shifted. What I want you to take away from this video is that don't let anyone tell you how things should be done. For everyone, it's different. If someone has not accomplished something, if they keep on saying that that's not possible or that cannot be done, it doesn't mean you cannot do it. It means that that person had a bad experience, and you don't really need to listen to that person. Second of all, invest in yourself. I began to invest in myself when I had almost nothing. Whatever I had, I spent it on coaching. I got a teacher. I got guidance. I read books. I invested in myself, which is why I got to learn from the mistakes of my teachers. They taught me, if you do this in business, if you talk in this way, your clients are going to get mad and things like that. So I began to apply their techniques. I began to learn faster from the mentors. This helped me save many, many years, and this helped me in boosting my sales more. Also, I'm going to encourage you to find out your favorable points. For example, at that time for me, finances, capitals, investors was not in my favor because this is a new line for me. Nobody knows me. Clients were not in my favor because there were already like so many travel agencies out there. What was in my favor was the fact that I know that I delivered the best service. What was in my favor was my voice, because I soon started to notice that people kept on calling me, and they were happy to talk to me. And even if they didn't come, like 3 out of 10 clients would probably never come, but they would never come in my trips, but they still didn't get annoyed when they spoke to me. I spoke to them with sincerity, and that's just how I am. It's not like I'm being fake and, oh, how are you, ma'am, or how are you doing, I love you, you're so beautiful. I didn't have any of that fakeness. That's like a God gift for me. I see that I'm really friendly most of the time. I'm really positive, and I really talk from my heart, and for some reason people are attracted to that. People love brightness, people love positivity, so they soon began to come to me more. So you have to work with honesty, you have to work with dedication, you have to work with passion, but you must also train your subconscious mind. Another thing I really worked a lot on was my subconscious mind, because I began to understand that if I have to change my reality, if I have to become a successful businesswoman, from being a nobody, from never having a business like a travel agency before, I must change the dialogue in my mind. I must train my subconscious mind. I must train myself to believe that I can do it. It is possible for me, and I can build my empire on any place in the world, and I can deliver the best. You must have that confidence inside you, and the people around you are going to notice that. They're going to notice your passion, they're going to notice your dedication, they're going to notice it. And when you can deliver value to people, they're definitely going to come to you. My teacher taught me that an entrepreneur is someone who solves other people's problems. From my travel agency, which I am making for the entire world right now, my goal is that no woman is ever harassed anywhere in the world, even if she's traveling alone, even if she's traveling in the most unsafest country. I want my platform to be there for every woman out there. So if someone is traveling, for example, from Europe to Asia, or from Asia to Latin America or to USA, and they have arrived at night from the airport, and they don't know where to go, they don't know what to do, they don't know the local police station's number, and they find themselves in a dark alley, they're a little bit scared perhaps. I want my platform to be a source of hope for them. I want my platform to be a sense of confidence for them, so that anywhere in the world they can just bring their phone out and they can just dial us, and they'll be like, we'll be there, we'll be there with our team of female members, with our guides or things like that. I want my agency, Female Travelers Network International, to be something, to be a platform for which no woman ever gets harassed anywhere in the world for traveling, so that she has full freedom. And it's not like women don't have freedom right now. People still, some places that there were still women may feel a little bit insecure. If they need it ever, they always will have us. And if they want to network, they will always have other women, from all around the world with them. That's what I want my platform to be, and that's the vision I have. So I always have big visions that is going to help people, and you're going to see that opportunities are going to open up. people are going to come to you, and you're going to have like a whole new world. I mean, the money does come, obviously money would come, but you also are going to have like this different realization. You're going to have like different dimensions opening up in your mind. You're going to be transformed into a new person through this entire process. I hope you found this video helpful. If you have not already, subscribe to my channel below. Other than that, I'm going to see you in the next video. Take care. Ciao.